What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of the After Effect podcast. I'm your host, LeBron Steffen. We have a very special guest today. Chicago Bears center, offensive center, James Daniels, a Warren, Ohio native, University of Iowa alumni like me. Just sent him the link, so just waiting for him to jump in. We'll get episode 6 started. Oh, no, man. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Man, I'm chilling, bro. I appreciate you tapping in with me.
No problem. No problem. I got you.
Yeah. I got this is like my NFL guys week, so I got all NFL guys lined up for this week. So I started a podcast a couple weeks ago called the After Effect podcast, and it's mainly to give athletes like me, myself, a voice. Guys that are out of the game, and had to figure out that transition afterwards. But I wanted to get some current NFL guys on as well to create a perspective, because you guys are still making the transition too. You're going from college to the league, and that's obviously a way different lifestyle than what we experienced in college.
Yeah.
So that was the whole reason why I wanted you on, just to create that kind of perspective. And you're like a super young guy, and I think I was telling all the other guys, I think you're the first African American football player to do 3 and out at the University of Iowa.
Yeah.
Like I know Brian Balaga did he came in with me in 2007, but he was a white guy, so he did 3 and out and went in the first round. So I thought that was pretty powerful.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so we can jump right into it, bro. So we both Ohio guys. I'm from Cleveland. We played Warren Harding my senior and junior year. I know it's like a strong football culture out there. I remember like Mario Manninghams and the Boom Herrings and guys like that. So just talk about like the culture growing up in Warren, Ohio.
Wait, what year did you graduate?
I came out 2007. So my senior year, we played Warren Harding. I'm sorry, but we blew you guys out like 50-0. But you guys had a squad though. Boom Herring was the running back. Sidney Glover was the safety. And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah,
Damn.
He went to West Virginia. Boom went to Ohio State.
Right.
Yeah. So we always, I went to Glenville, so we always battled for those few years, in like 05, 06, 07. I know you were a lot younger, so I'm not sure if you ever played. Did you ever play any Cleveland high schools?
We played Cleveland Heights, Maple Heights. We scrimmaged like Solon and St. Ed's, but I mean that's about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we really played. We played Shaw, but Shaw was. That's
they were sorry.
Yeah, bro. That's easy stuff. Right. But no, the culture of football, and like back at Harding was like, Harding had like such like a big like it was like a football town. Right. And like I moved to Warren, I moved to Ohio in 8th grade, and just seeing like how much like the city like cared about football. Okay. And I moved at the end at the end of the recession, so of course like the city was struggling like financially and things like that. Yeah. But just seeing like how packed and like how much like the residents of the city cared about Warren and Warren football. That was pretty big.
Where did you guys move from?
DeKalb, Illinois.
Okay. So I know the culture in Illinois and Ohio is different, but Ohio is like a big football state. Like
it's completely right. It's completely different. Like it's like what am I gonna say? It's like in like Illinois, like high school football. Of course, like in Illinois, there's like a lot of like these big like high schools, because Illinois has like a lot of people. Right. And like this past during the season, like I go to like a couple like high school football games, because on Friday nights, I don't have anything to do. But right. It's like it's nowhere near like the atmosphere and the environment's nowhere near like what you see in Ohio.
Right. I know
especially Northeast Ohio, because you got Warren, you got Youngstown, you got Akron, Canton, then you go up to Cleveland, then you got the Cleveland schools up there.
Right.
It's like it's like that, like how the Friday nights or the games are on Saturdays.
Man, Friday Night Lights in Northeast Ohio, you can't really beat it. It's such a football strong atmosphere, and that's why right. I think it's funny that the best basketball player in the world came from there, because LeBron James, because
right.
before him, I mean, basketball, we had a lot of good basketball players, but I would say it was more football players than basketball coming out of Northeast Ohio.
Right. And actually, it's funny. My high school coach, he was coaching. I think he was coaching at Ursula in Youngstown when LeBron was in high school.
Okay.
And he's watching, and they're playing St. V's like that upcoming week, and he's like watching the film, and he's like, who is this? I forgot how he pronounced LeBron's name, but he did say like LeBron. But I forgot how he said his name, and he was like, who is this kid? But this kid, I think that was his freshman year or sophomore year. I can't remember, but I mean, he was a monster. And then he found out like 2 years later, probably a year later, like he was like the best.
That was him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember because Brian only like 4 years older than me. I came out 07, he came out 03. So I remember my dad telling me that it was a guy named LeBron. We had the same name.
Right.
But and my dad's like a funny guy, so he said, man, this dude is slew-footed because he walked with his feet out like this. Yeah. Like, man, I never seen a basketball player that good that was slew-footed. Like he gonna be the best in the country. So ever since then, I think I was like in 5th grade. I was a fan just because we had the same name, and it was just random.
And like I couldn't imagine like for like LeBron through being from Akron, then getting drafted by the Cavs, and doing what he did for the Cavs. Like because he come in the league, I think at 18, 19, whatever. Yeah. But bro, that's crazy. Like, dude, I couldn't imagine like the pressure he's had.
Exactly, major pressure, and what's crazier is that he lived up to it.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Right. So my next question is, I know. So you must have a late birthday because I know you went to the University of Iowa. Your transition, you were 17, or you were 17?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, just talk about your transition from going from Warren Harding to the University of Iowa, and especially because you didn't redshirt. You played the freshman year. But for me, I came in like I was like a tweener, like a defensive end, outside linebacker, but I only weighed like 218. So I knew that I was going to redshirt. I was super fast, but I couldn't. You know how Iowa is. Like they want you to lift all these weights and get all big. So I knew I had to redshirt. So I'm sure our transition was a little different because I redshirted. But just talk about that transition going from Warren to Iowa City and actually playing on the field. Did you play on the field at 17, or did you turn 18 before the first game?
Yeah, we played 2 games before I turned 18.
Yep, man, that's wild. Yeah, so yeah, just talk about your transition from high school to college and playing like as soon as you got there, like ASAP.
Okay, so I graduated high school early, so my birthday's September 13th, and I got to Iowa City like January, I don't know.
Oh, you came, okay, so you started taking classes early.
Yeah, it's like the weekend before like Martin Luther King like weekend. Martin Luther King Day, so we had like that Monday off or something.
Okay.
Anyway, so
my older spring practice and all that.
Yeah, so my older brother, he was a running back at Iowa.
Yeah, LaShawn Daniels, I remember.
And when I was at Iowa, like he helped me and things like that. But my first semester, my first summer there, my brother really didn't. He really didn't help me at all. He was like, hey, he was like, you gotta learn. Like, of course, like if I came to him and asked for like help, like he would help me, but everything else, he was like, nah, you gotta learn that on your own. Because I respect that. Like he wasn't trying to baby, because he went through it by himself. So he was like, why can't I go through it by myself?
Okay.
Workouts, it was just like I was a great athlete like in high school. Like I was fast, strong, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like at Iowa, like some of like the movements and stuff that we had to do, like I wasn't used to. Like hand clean. Like
all the Olympic lifting.
Exactly. Like I never hand cleaned before. I didn't know how to do a proper squat. Like I didn't know how. Only thing I could really do is bench. Like I knew how to get under the bar and just do that. But everything else, I didn't know how to do like any of these lifts.
Right.
So, so like being like from like a strength and conditioning standpoint, like it was tough at first. But then of course, like you start off really slow. But then when spring practice hit, so the first spring practice, I think we were in shells, so we didn't wear shoulder pads.
Okay.
And so I get like 2 or 3 reps at in the practice because I was on third team, and third team only got 4 or 5 reps in entire practice.
At the end, yeah.
Then the second practice, I think we actually get a decent amount of reps, so probably 14 or something like that around there. Uh-huh. And I'm out there and I can't block. I can't the worst defensive tackles on the team walk on defensive tackles, like I can't block these guys. And then I remember like after the practice, like I had terrible practice. I was center, I had like 8 high snaps. Like it was just from top to bottom, it was just terrible.
Yeah.
And then, so I go home to my dorm in Hillcrest. I go home to Hillcrest. I start crying because I'm like, dude, like I really don't know like if I'm good enough. And then I see players, I see 4th year, 5th year players who are on the second team or on the third team. Like, dude, if they spent 4 years here and they can't, and they're on the third team, like,
and they can't crack the start line,
like how do I expect to play? But then like throughout the spring, like you
got better and better.
Yeah, I got better and better. And then at the end of the spring, Brian Ferentz, he's an O-line coach. He told me, like, if you keep it up, you have a chance to play. You have the chance to play as a true freshman in the fall, which I wanted to. Like, I didn't come to Iowa early
to not play.
Exactly, not play as a true freshman. Right. So I go through summer workouts, and summer workouts were hard. Summer workouts are really hard because
those are the hardest ones. Yes.
Because I was doing the workouts that the older players were. So I had like the buffer period in the winter, but then in the summer hit, I was doing what the
You were on the advanced card. They put you on the advanced card.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember that. They put me on that early too.
And then so all the other freshmen who came in, they're doing the stuff I did.
All the beginner stuff, the stuff that you did when you first got there in the spring. Right.
They have like half the conditioning reps. Like they have it easy, but I'm out there grinding.
Right.
Summer, in the summer, I think that summer it was like a Friday workout. We did like the stations. We did like the stations with like weighted vests.
Mm-hmm. I think keep them on the whole time. I'll never forget.
We ran like 10 after we took off the vest, and we ran 1060 straight. And that was the hardest conditioning workout I ran compared to game simulator, cut 85s, blah blah blah.
Right.
The 1060s after the stations, and we didn't have a break either. Like now, like my past 2 years at Iowa, like we would run like 5 and 5 or 4 and 4 or just run 6 straight. Like that was the last time we did 10 straight, and that shit was hard. Like but I get through the summer, then camp. Camp is camp. It wasn't. I would say camp was easier than spring ball because. I actually knew like how practice went, like things that were going on. Staying in Marriott. Staying in Marriott wasn't the worst thing because every time you would come home, every time you would come back to the Marriott, your bed was made. Exactly. They have food at the Marriott.
That was the best experience in training camp. Is the hotel.
And you leave the snacks you get when you leave the facility, like they'll give you like Pancheros, like Pizza Hut.
Right. Love
camp wasn't bad. And then my roommate was a 5th year senior, Austin Blythe.
Okay, yeah. I know Austin.
Yeah, and Blythe, he always had like at night, like in the hotel room, he always had like a bunch of like the old line over, and they would like play like cards and stuff.
Yeah.
So during camp, I got time to be closer with the offensive line.
Right.
Then camp ends. They tell me that I'm gonna be playing as a true freshman.
Mm-hmm.
And season.
And was that the Rose Bowl year? Your true freshman?
Yeah, that was the Rose Bowl year. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I started 2 games that year. I started the Northwestern game, and then I started the Rose Bowl. Then I played in every other game except that. I played in every game, but I had those 2 starts.
So that was probably a hell of a whirlwind for your freshman year. You came in early.
Oh yeah.
You got in early, but then you struggled at first, but then you got used to all the workouts and the practices. Then here comes the summer workouts, like that's super hard. Then you just got better and better, and then you end up being your record. Our record was like 14-1, 13-1 that year.
12-2. We lost the Big Ten championship, and we lost.
And then to Stanford. Yeah.
But playing as a true freshman, that was the funnest. Like football, like 2015, like that was the most like I've enjoyed playing football like in my entire life. Because the team was vibing. Like I was a freshman, the winter semester is way different than the fall semester, just from standpoint. Because in the fall, like people, you go out more because the weather's better and stuff. And then it's just like, I was with new freshmen. I was still in the dorm, so I was with new freshmen. So it was, I was vibing like that. Yeah, that was those were some fun times.
Man, I bet.
Especially because what we were doing, we were wearing. Iowa's never been. I'm not sure. I know there's, I think 2009 or 2000. I can't remember when you guys were really good.
Yeah,
But I'm pretty.
2009. We were our highest ranking was number 4, 2009. We went 11-2 that year.
And what was your best record? Like we were like, because it was like 6-0. Because it was like Iowa hasn't been 6-0 since then. Then it was like
Yeah,
8-0.
we got up to 8-0. We got up to 8-0. I remember this like it was yesterday. Like it was 8-0. We were playing Northwestern for our ninth game. I mean, and we were about to blow them out. We was up 14-0, and then the DN from Northwestern come around the edge, sack Richie Stanzi, and breaks his ankle.
Oh yeah. I remember
And he's out, and then James Vandenberg comes in. Northwestern comes back and beats us. So we end up losing to them, and then we lost to Ohio State the next week in the Big Ten championship, like in overtime by a field goal.
Yeah, actually, it's funny because both my parents went to Ohio State.
Oh,
So
wow.
I remember watching that Ohio State Iowa game.
Yeah.
I mean, just because my dad played football at Ohio State, so he always was on the Ohio State football game.
Was your dad an O-lineman too?
Yeah, he was an O-lineman.
Okay.
I just remembered like seeing like Iowa playing Ohio State. Like I never, even though like I was in Illinois at the time,
yeah,
I never really knew much about Iowa football, even though it was literally because I think DeKalb to Iowa City, I mean, that's like 2 hours, maybe 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, like 2 to 3 hours.
So, but no, that first year just winning and being as a true freshman, because there's only like 3-4 true freshmen that played.
Actually
already got out. Like it was a crazy experience.
I can only imagine. That's why I'm glad you gave me those details, because I'm sure that was like mind blowing.
Yeah, I like still thinking about like one of my favorite moments in Iowa City. So we played Purdue to clinch the Big Ten West. I think that's week 11. We beat them, then we go 11-0. And I just remember, so we got these like hats and shirts, like Big Ten West champions. I remember like every football player on the team went out that night, and they were in Summit, and every single football player, they all had, like, they were wearing whatever outfit they were wearing. Then they had on their Big Ten champions, like Big Ten West championship.
Now, I can only imagine. And Summit is always crazy, but I can only imagine.
I just do it. It's crazy because nobody knew, like nobody. No one told me to wear my hat. But I was like, I just put on my hat. Then when I get there, everyone else is wearing the hat. Like that was a good time.
Yeah, I already know. So man, talk about like your transition from college to the league. Like I talk to a lot of guys, and we play football our whole lives to get a chance in the NFL. So talk about going in the second round. Like talk about draft day and like you actually manifesting, like making it to the NFL. Like, what did that feel like? Like, cause I talked to, I got a lot of friends who I played with either at Iowa or in high school, and I didn't get drafted, so I always ask guys like, just what did that feel like? You played football for 15 to 20 years, so just talk about like draft day, and then talk about the transition with the Bears, because I think for Iowa, I know you started center sometimes, you started guard sometimes. Did you start tackle sometimes too at Iowa?
No, I played tackle. I never started.
Okay, you played tackle, you started guard, you started center.
When everyone got hurt, and I had no other option to put anyone else except me at tackle.
Yeah. So and I saw for the Bears over the past 2 years, you got a couple starts at guard and a couple starts at center. So just talk about draft day, then talk about the transition from Iowa to the pros, because what I always hear is that the pros are like 100 times easier than Iowa. So just talk about that.
Yeah. So first, like my recent leave. So I met with Coach Ferentz like after we played Nebraska. Nebraska's the last game of the year. I met with him. Then he like asked like the scouts that he knew personally, like to watch my film and like where I would get drafted to. And anyone in all the scouts, the earliest scouts said mid-first, and the latest scout said like third round. But every single scout it was either like second, like I was gonna go in the second round. So I was like, well, right when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I'm leaving after the bowl game. Like I'm done.
I'm out here.
So it was actually crazy, like seeing my draft feedback, because I knew I was good, and I actually at the end of the season, like I did want to see like where my grade would be.
Yeah.
But they have like there's like 8 scouts. They have like every scout, like 2 or 3 of them said I could go as early as like mid first. Then I think like one said like the latest I would go is like 3rd round. Like to see that, I'm like, dude, like. And then you go on. There's this website called Spot Rack, and Spot Rack has like the contracts of like every football player, every NBA player.
Oh,
And
wow.
you go on Spot Rack and you can look at like the
ranking.
next NFL draft. No,
Okay.
for the next NFL draft, like when you get drafted,
Oh,
what your
okay.
contract will be.
Okay.
So like it's my junior year in college. So I go on Spot Rack and I go through like the NFL draft, and then I see like pick 16. Pick 16, I think it's like a $13 million, $12 million contract.
Yeah.
And then like pick like pick like 60 is like I think pick 60 is like a $5 million contract. Yeah. But you still get like a $1.5 million sign bonus.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at this. It's my junior year. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
like dude, this is really about to happen.
if I don't like get hurt, get arrested, like I'm gonna make an insane amount of money in a couple months. So I'm like, so I can't, dude. I literally, dude. When I saw Spot Rack, I'm like,
Did you feel any pressure? Did you feel any pressure? Like, I gotta make sure I don't get too drunk, I don't get arrested, I don't do nothing wrong.
I felt pressure about getting hurt. Because so like when I would practice, like I wear my knee braces, I wear knee sleeves under my knee braces. I used to get my ankles taped. I wear ankle braces over my ankle tape. I'm like, bro, like if I were to get hurt, like it's actually meant for me to get hurt. Like I'm not doing anything to get hurt.
Right.
And so we play a bowl game. We end up winning, which was the first bowl game that I think they won since like 2011. I don't know. Was
that versus Boston College in New York?
Yeah, versus Boston College.
Okay, I remember that one.
And so then, like the people I was close to on the team, like knew that I was leaving. And so then, training for the combine, I stayed in Iowa, and like 2 or 3 weeks before the combine, I pulled my hamstring doing like a sled sprint.
Wow.
And so then I know that, and the tough part is like I'm good. Like when I was rehabbing my hamstring, like I'm good, like doing like my 5-10-5 or 3-cone broad. But it was like the 40 was tough because the 40
you couldn't open up with the hammy.
And so I didn't run at the combine. And so the combine, I was there for 5 days. I get there Monday and I test on Friday. After I'm done testing. So it's just day one. It's literally all like medical testing. And like medical testing, first they x-ray your entire body, and then you do like you get your heart tested, lungs tested, they test everything. And then the worst part about the combine is like the physical days. So you go, so there's like
super long.
Yeah, especially if you have I got hurt in college. I had 2 knee surgeries, 2 meniscus surgeries on each knee. So mine was going to take long regardless. Yeah. So there's like
they're going to poke and prod all on your knees, make sure they're good now.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's like 7 rooms, and think of like a ballroom, like a hotel. And so in this room, you have like doctors and like trainers from like all the NFL teams, and you're in like the middle, and there's like a table in the middle. So you walk out into the middle, you sit on the table, you're in your compression shorts, no socks, no shirt, nothing. And you just sit there on the table. Then like a trainer or doctor who inspected you earlier, he goes through your entire medical history. And then after he's done going through your entire medical history, doctors and trainers from the other tables get up, and they test things on your own. So they'll be like, okay, stand up, touch your toes, lean back, do like a bodyweight squat. They'll grab your knee, they'll jerk it, they'll jerk your shoulder,
right,
leg,
just to make sure everything is good.
Make sure everything's good. And there's 7 rooms of this, 7 or 6, 6 or 8, I can't remember. Hell, it was a lot of rooms, I can't remember. And so then you do that in every single every single room you do that. And so that took like 8. I think we started at like 8 and I didn't leave till like 2.
6 hours.
Yeah, so it was just 6 hours of literally, it was either waiting or just getting pulled on, your leg pulled on by doctors, which was terrible. Then at night, I have like you have like the formal interviews where you walk into the hotel room. It's like the coach, GM, maybe the owner, O-line coach, and they just ask you questions. But those interviews, like, I killed the interviews because they would just ask me like, "Oh, what's the
questions?"
Yeah, like football questions. Like you can put me on the board. You can put me on the board. Like I've always known like X and O's, especially from my dad, because that's the stuff he used to teach me like when I was growing up. Like I always knew like X's and O's. Like that's that. Okay, this is the under defense. Mike is walked. Okay, that means they're blitzing from the backside, or like they would test me questions.
What's that terminology?
Yeah,
that O-line terminology.
Right. Like I remember this one time I'm meeting with the team and the coach is telling me their like their calls or how they ID fronts or play. I can't remember. He was telling me something and he gave me like a notebook and a pencil to like write the stuff down. But I didn't write any stuff down. So he's telling me it. I'm just nodding my head like, yeah. Then he's like, you're not gonna write that down? And so I looked down and he took my notebook and then he started quizzing me on what he was asking. And I got every question right. And I just saw his face. He was like, okay. And then the video was over. I walked out.
Right. Because you just naturally absorb that information very well. Exactly. You don't have to write it down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so after the combine, after the combine, like I trained for pro day. I didn't run at pro day again.
Yeah, you just did position work, right?
Yeah, because I mean, run the 40 at the pro day. I mean, as an offensive lineman, like
if that's irrelevant, pretty much.
Yeah, because this one scout, he asked me, he was like, "You're not gonna run the 40?" I was like, "I don't need to." Then he's like, "I'm gonna write. I don't need." He said, "I don't need to run my 40 on my paper." And I was like. Dude, like if I run 4.5 or 6.0, like it doesn't.
Right, you
drafted when I get drafted. Like it doesn't matter what I run.
Yeah, it sounded like he was just being an asshole, whatever scout that was.
Yeah, it's like these scouts. Like they try to act like they have.
They try to play mind games.
It kind of pisses me off. Like in the pre-draft process, like I've been looking at it's like these scouts try to make it seem like they have power over the players that they're scouting. I'm like, dude, these scouts have, first of all, at the end of the day, whatever the scouts say, that doesn't mean anything because the GM or the owner, those are the people making the draft.
Right.
Those are the people making the draft, the final say. So it doesn't matter if whatever the scout says. But it's like these scouts try to make it seem like they're these tough guys when they're scouting these players. I'm like, bro. You guys aren't like I'm cool with scouts, but like I'm like these guys, you guys don't have that power. What seems
they doing a little too much.
Exactly. And so I do after pro day, I do like my team visits where they fly me in and talk with the coaches. And
how many teams did you visit with?
Like 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I visit. Then I had like 2 or 3 more visits lined up, but they ended up like trading. They're like they didn't have like a first pick, but it was like an early first round pick. They didn't have a second round pick, or they didn't have a first and second round pick.
Okay.
And my agent was like, "There's no point of even going," because there was weeks where I would go from a team to a team to a team. I'd go back to Iowa City, work out for a day, go to another team. I'd have a private workout on like Saturday, have Sunday off, then I'd be back on the road Monday. Like I had like 2 weeks where it was like team, back in Iowa City for a day, workout, team. And it was that was kind of tough because I got tired. But I did rack up a lot of like United, like airline miles. So
a lot of miles. You stay in the air, huh?
It was tough. But
so what was your mindset going into draft night? Like, because I'm sure best to best, you hoping first round, but like, what was your mindset? What was your agent telling you? Like, you don't go in the first, you're definitely going to second. You don't go in the second, you're definitely going to third. Like, What was the mindset going into draft night?
So my agent did a really good job of, he made the spreadsheet of the teams of picks like 1 through like 60. And he asked like the scouts or the coaches that he knew from the teams what they thought about me. Then he wrote down if I visited with them, talked to them, worked out with them, like if I had communication with them.
Yeah.
And I knew my range. He said my range was between 16 and 45. So okay, so opening draft night, I'm back in Warren. I throw like we're at like a country club, so I have like this party.
Uh-huh.
So like I'm joking around, you know, for like the first couple of picks,
right,
and stuff. And then when once pick like 15 happens, like I go upstairs and I like start sitting down.
Yeah.
And the picks in the first round are like 8. They're like 8 or 9 minutes between
right.
each other.
It's a long wait, right?
So I think the draft ends at like midnight, like East Coast time. It ends around like midnight, which first of all, they need, the draft should not be 4 hours. Like that's crazy. Right. But so I'm sitting there. I see the picks are starting to go by. I see like some people go off that I know I'm better than, but I'm like, okay, that's cool. Actually, I'm pissed. I'm not gonna say the team, but a team told me they were gonna draft me if they trade back. So they trade back.
So you just knew you was going at that. And
I knew I was going. I'm like, dude. I'm like, if I don't go to this team, I have no idea. They trade back and they don't draft me. So I'm like, so then at like pick 30. I'm not sure you had pick there. Like pick 30. I'm like, nah, I don't think I'm getting drafted tonight. Yeah. And then I mean, pick 32 happens, which was Lamar Jackson, which probably was the best, one of the best.
That was Lamar Jackson, because he was 32 and you were 38.
39.
39. Okay.
So
what was that night like when you had to go to sleep? Like, could you even sleep because you didn't go in the first round? So now you're like, shit, I don't go in the second round at least. Like,
I mean, I slept, but so I leave. So I storm out of the draft party. I'm crying. Then my agent grabs me. Then my dad grabs me. They're just talking to me like, I mean,
trying to calm you down.
Like, yeah, they're trying to calm me down. But at the end of the day, it's like the main thing they were telling me was like, as a first round pick, your contract is 5 years. But as a second round pick throughout whenever, your contract is 4 years. So long story short, you can negotiate your contract earlier.
Right.
So that's the main thing they were telling me is like.
Right. So ultimately, like, just to be optimistic and.
You can make more money. You might not make more money up front, like earlier, but later on for your second contract, you'll be able to make more money earlier.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay. Then the second round hits. And there's 3 offensive linemen drafted in the second round before I go. Like I think
from 33 to 39?
Yes, there's 3 offensive linemen that go before me. So I'm like, so first off,
like, oh my God.
I'm like, actually, I was saying to myself, like, I'm not gonna get drafted. But I knew I was gonna get drafted, but I was just saying, like, bro, this is crazy.
I know you was going through it probably.
I was sick. And you can see, like, and the thing about the draft is like you can feel like it's actually crazy. Like you can feel like the energy in the room.
Yeah.
Like you can feel like once that third offensive lineman got picked in the second round, you can just feel like the energy in the room, like, like here we go.
Really.
And so I think it's the Colts. The Colts are picking. And then the draft picks after the Colts, it was like Tampa Bay, Chicago, Denver. And I knew I didn't visit Tampa Bay, but I worked out. They came and worked me out. And then Denver and Chicago, I both met with them at the combine, and I both had like the visit. I flew out to Denver and Chicago. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I mean, I'm not sure if Tampa Bay will draft me, but I know for a fact that Chicago or Denver is going to draft me. And so then while Tampa Bay's picking, it's like 4 or 5 minutes. It was like right when like on TV where it's like Tampa Bay is like on the clock. I receive a call from like Lake Forest, like Illinois, and that's where the Bears facility is at. So I look down.
The Bears.
So my phone's in my pocket, so I look down. It's like 847. That's like Lake Forest area code. I'm like, all right, bet. Like this is it. This is it. And then like I call. I can't remember. I can't remember if it was Coach Nagy or Ryan Pace who called me. I can't remember. I was just. I picked it up. They're like,
yeah, You just happy, excited.
Chicago Bears. But yeah, I mean, that was the story. That was the story of the draft. I mean, it was
wow.
It was crazy. Like
it sounds pretty intense. Like a lot of ebbs and flows and mixed emotions, like ups and downs.
Like the stress of it, with the stress of like the combine stuff, like pro days, like visits. I mean, that stuff because I'm either working out because I'm athletic, so working out. I mean, that's easy. Or like talking X's and O's, like that's easy. Right. But like the draft and waiting, I don't think I would do it again.
Right.
Like if I have kids,
it seems like it takes forever.
Like if I have kids trying to get drafted, I'm like, if they're like when they're in the draft, like there's nothing I can say to them. Because I know like the stress of like waiting here.
Yeah. And the time moves real slow and all that.
And seeing the people on TV that you know that you're getting drafted before you, that you know that you're better
than, yeah.
Like that's probably the worst thing about.
I know that's tough.
Because of course, like I knew people who were gonna get drafted like before me, but seeing people I should have been drafted before, like I take now. Like I play, like now when I play, like I take that as like an insult. Like I'm showing these dudes, like I'm showing like the teams who did draft me, like this is like y'all should have drafted me. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's great. It's great I didn't get drafted because I mean Chicago's a great place and
definitely. Historic organization, really.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I didn't realize that they have the most Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Lesson
in disguise. So who would you say? Because I know you got some starts at center and starts at guard, and you're going into year 3. Who has been the toughest defensive tackle for you to block?
It's like Aaron Donald.
I was just thinking that. I was thinking Aaron Donald.
Dude, like so. Every week I get like a cut up of like the defensive tackles I'm playing. Yeah. And it's like their pressures, hurries, like tackle for losses. Pretty much I'm seeing how they get home, see what they do. Right. So usually the clips are like, I don't know, if it's like a regular player, it's like 8 minutes. If it's a great player, it's like 15 minutes.
Right.
Aaron Donald's tape was like 2 hours. I'm like, you know, so I'm watching on my iPad probably early in the week, like Monday or Tuesday. I'm watching on the iPad, going through the stuff.
He had a lot of plays, man.
It's just not. He's not just doing it against bad players. He's doing it against the best guards, best centers in the league. He even moves out to DN and starts and can rush at DN.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at. This is my rookie. So we played him. Actually, we play him. Damn, we're gonna play him 3 years in a row. We play him this year too. So this is my rookie year. So I'm looking at this cut up. I'm like, bruh, like.
It's unreal.
He's really like whatever.
Because your rookie year was when he had like 22 sacks, right?
Exactly. Like in the week before we played the Rams in 2018, they played Detroit, and in like the fourth quarter, I think like 3 minutes left in the game, he gets like a strip sack.
I remember that play. I think.
I want to say the game was tied or Detroit was winning like 2 or 3. He gets like a strip sack at like the -30. Then the Rams get the ball and win. And so when I'm blocking him in 2018, I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, bruh, like when I got to the fourth quarter, because it was like a 1-score game, I'm thinking to myself, like, bruh, like this is the time. Like in like the Chiefs and the Bears, we do the similar offense.
Okay.
And so I was watching the Chiefs game, and that's when he had 2 strip sacks.
He went crazy versus the Chiefs. Crazy.
So that's the only thing that's ingrained in my mind. Is like, dude, this is AD time. So if I'm not on it, like I'm done. Like he's gonna change the game.
Right.
And so then we ended up being the Rams, and I remember in 2018, like I didn't even celebrate after the game because I was just so relieved. Like I didn't give up a strip sack because they're worth.
How did you grade out? How did you grade out versus them?
I had help, but I didn't give anything up. So,
Okay.
so I mean, at the
because that's tough, and he's not that tall of a guy. He only like 6 feet. So he got
exactly.
that leverage, and he got that power. He got that speed and that explosion.
And
It's
he's
tough.
so good. He's so good at reading. Like the best pass rushers. I mean, you know this. Like the best pass rushers, you're so good at reading what you do. So if you set for his speed, he's gonna power you.
Oh yeah, he's gonna bull rush you. Yeah.
If you set for his power, he's just gonna like just run around your edge.
Right.
So it's because you have to. I mean, I don't care what any offensive line coach says. You have to set. You can't set for both. It's not. I mean, I don't think it's possible. So it's like
you can't set flat on him. You gotta set towards him a little bit, but obviously not overset him.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like what do you give? Because he's so good at seeing something, then you throw your hand. He's so good at like grabbing it to just
and he does so many different things. He does, you know, he does the arm slap down, and then like you said, he'll grab the wrist. He'll grab your arm and then lift him, or he'll bull rush you and get you a third real fast and swim, or he will just. I've seen some sacks where he just literally just take the dude to the quarterback. Just take the guard to the quarterback and just go out the way. Right?
Every pass rush move he has in his like I seen him get home on every pass rush move.
On every different exactly.
It's like his counters. Okay, you shut down his first rush. Okay, he has a counter. Then he has like 2 or 3 counters after that. I'm like, dude, like, bro, how do you rush like that?
It's a good day when you don't give him a sack versus him. That's a good day. That's a good and y'all get the W. That's a good day.
Like, yeah, great day. And like the D line is just gonna start. The D line is gonna start just getting better and better every year because I mean the NFL's moving towards a passing league. So if you keep rushing passer, you can't. Your team has no chance. And D linemen, they're starting to run. These D ends are starting to run like 4.4s at the combine, jump 40 inches.
Know that.
So it's gonna be interesting. But I mean, talking about defense line in the NFL, I mean, every team has an elite defensive lineman. Yeah. And so it really just depends. I mean, some teams have like 2 or 3, some teams just have 1. But that's the thing. It's like there's no off days in the NFL.
Yeah, it's never off. Yeah, it's never an off game. It's top of the line competition in the world.
Exactly, because in college, you could be blocking some guy from Northwestern. Like I could be blocking some guy from Northwestern. I'm like chilling the entire game. Like I have no fear in my mind, like I'm gonna get beat. Right. But I can be playing.
You can't. It's no chilling.
Yeah. It's like Jaleel. Like I remember Jaleel in college. Like Jaleel was a monster in college. Like Jaleel was a monster. Yeah. But then like Jaleel, the pass. He wasn't. I think he might start like at the end of last year. I can't remember. But I know
he started like 3 or 4 games for the Vikings last year.
Yeah, but Jaleel wasn't even a starter. And I saw Jaleel during games. I saw him in practice. I'm like, bro, Jaleel monster. Right. And this dude not even starting. So like what does that tell you about the competition in the league?
Right.
So but I mean it's fun. It's fun though. I mean it's fun getting challenging and like knowing that you blocked like the best of the best or like blocking people.
I know that's a hell of a feeling.
Yeah, it's like because you know that your play is getting recognized. I mean, like you play football to win, but the second part of that, you play football to dominate, and knowing that people recognize that you're dominating, knowing people recognize
you got to dominate your one-on-one competition.
Exactly. People, I think I do take a lot of pride in that.
So talk about like what's your biggest goal going into year 3? Because obviously it's not a contract year yet, but with your versatility, not a lot of guys who have starts at center and guard, but are also productive. If they have starts at center guard, at one of those they're probably getting their ass kicked. So just talk about how you want to continue to develop and like what's some individual goals you have going into year 3, preparing for year 4 and stuff like that.
Just keep on getting better. Honestly, my biggest goal this year is to become like a better leader. Because I feel like the past 2 years, like I've been like quiet because like, I mean, I'm
you're a young guy. Like,
I'm like younger, but this is going to be my 3rd year starting. So I'm not, even though I'm young, I'm not the young guy anymore. Exactly. So I feel like I really need, and every team benefits from having vocal leadership on the offensive line. And so I feel like if I can become, of course, I need to still get stronger, work on my technique, things like that. But I feel like if I become a leader, I'll take my game and the Bears game to a next level.
All right, leadership. Oh man, that's powerful. I know you can do it.
Hey, bro, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So just talk about some things that you like doing outside of football. Before you, I've interviewed mostly college coaches, NFL coaches, and things of that nature. Guys have different football positions with like USA football, things like that. But a lot of times that transition out of sports when they're finally done playing football, basketball, whatever their main sport may be, that transition can be tough. And you're not even in the prime of your career yet. I'm sure you'll have like a 10 to 12, 15-year career. But just talk about some things that you like doing outside of football when you want to get your mind off of the game.
So
I know you're a gamer. I know that.
Yeah. I'm a gamer. So so during the year, I try to not like bring like any of like my work like home with me. So I try to get like all of my like studying and stuff done so I'll stay like 30, 45 minutes more at the facility.
Okay.
And so like when I go home, I can just like
you can wipe that off and just be at home, be present at home.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so I mean, yes, so I game on PC. And so I mean like last year, like when I would go home, I would have like Normatex and I would just put my Normatex on. Boot up my gaming PC, and I would just game for like 2 or like 3 hours, and then after that, just FaceTime my girlfriend, and I mean, go to sleep and just repeat again. But I feel like gaming is like
it's becoming major. It's becoming a major entity.
It's like it really takes your mind off of stuff. Yeah. And first you're playing the game, and then like I play with my friends. So I'm getting a chance to like talk to my friends.
Yeah.
I mean, my friends, we're clowning. We're
just like have those interactions. You're not thinking about football. It's not taking from your mind. Yeah.
It's like, like that's. I mean, I feel I game, but then I mean, I'm an anime watcher, so I watch like anime.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's really like the only TV I watch. But I mean, just like. I mean, those two things. I mean, during the off season, like this off season, I started getting my MBA, which is something that's not football related. But I have so much time. Actually, I got it because during my last semester at Iowa, so I've always been interested in business. But during my last semester at Iowa, my girlfriend's roommate was a big like Shark Tank person.
Oh wow, really?
So I started watching Shark Tank from like season 1, and I started watching like these pitches and stuff, and it's like then I started doing like research like on business. It's like with like the business, I mean pretty much everything's a business. And so like I've learned like I learned about like the economy, like how businesses run,
how it's structured.
Like and it's so because I was a health and human physiology major in college, so I just learned about body and did science. So I never learned about like business or things like that.
Right.
And so, I just think business is just something that's like really interesting.
Is that what you're getting your MBA in?
I'm getting my MBA, business, and I think it's like business. It's like business management or.
Okay, wow.
It's something like that. I can't.
That's powerful, man. So you already setting yourself up for
I'm already
life after football.
But I mean, that's a long. I mean, it can't happen on any time. Knock on wood. But I mean that.
You want to play for 10, 12 years.
Exactly. Then just like leave like when I want to leave.
Yeah, that is super dope to hear that, you already working towards life after football, even though that's you want that to be way down the line.
Yeah.
But you still have that in the back of your head that, you want to further your education. That's dope. And I'm sure, younger listeners will, I'm sure take something from that.
I just hope like, it's just tough because I feel like in school, like in like high school, I feel like high school has a big part to do with it. But in high school, I'm not sure about you, but at like Harding, we never learned about like stocks or things like that.
We didn't either.
you can they have all these like investing apps. Like you can invest like
trading, you can like trading. Yeah.
If you have $20 left from like a paycheck in like high school, you can, instead of spending that $20 on like Chipotle, you can spend that $20 and like invest it. Like,
Exactly.
I wish in like high school they would tell us like more about like real life, about like
Exactly.
real life things. I mean, just not stocks, but like how to do taxes. I
Yeah,
don't how to do like
taxes, how to establish individual credit, how to establish business credit, how to establish a business just in general. All
yeah,
those
because
things. They don't teach that in high school.
they don't, and I feel like I feel like I feel like a lot more students, you graduate from high school, but I feel like a lot more kids would be going to college if they learned about this stuff in high school and they're like, okay, that's interesting, I want to learn more about that. Or like if you want to open your own business, maybe you don't go to college, but you get a couple books and you look up on YouTube,
Exactly.
like this is you
How to
you
start a business. Yeah.
yeah, how you start a business. And so I just wish, I mean, a lot of stuff needs to be done with the education system, but I feel like one thing would be to bring like more, like to try to incorporate more realistic stuff into the curriculum.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hope that I've talked to a few of my friends about that. Just like guys being in the know at a younger age of how money works individually. How business credit works. How do you even start a business? And how do you start a business credit line? And how do you build
Right.
that up? And then, like you said, the stocks and the trading is another. There's a lot of trading apps where if you got $10 to $20, you can throw that in there and learn how to trade. You can
Exactly.
make a lot of money doing that as well. So 2020 is so many different ways you can make money, but a lot of times guys are like behind the eight ball because you're not taught none of these things like in high school and sometimes in college, depending on what your major is.
Yeah, you're not uh, do they even teach credit? I don't think they even teach credit in I'm
I
not
feel
sure
like
if college
that's like a credit class should literally be a prerequisite. Like everyone should have to take a credit class. Like when you first go to college. I don't understand why that's not in any of the at any of the universities as a
because if
part
you're
of
not on
something that they have to
scholarship,
take.
if you're on scholarship, you're taking out a $40,000 loan per year at what 4% or something.
Exactly.
Like you're gonna have to pay. Like you don't. Yeah, you sign off on student loans, but what exactly are you signing off on?
Man, it's crazy because I had friends that didn't go to school on scholarships and literally 2 weeks after you graduate, they are sending you an invoice in the mail for you to start making payments on student loans.
Yeah,
They don't even
crazy.
give you a chance to find a job. They don't care. They want their money back. And so
But then the
it's
money, yeah,
sad.
the money comes from your paycheck. The money comes just straight out the paycheck. Like you don't even see it. It's just
Yeah.
minus two hundred
Yeah,
dollars student loans or whatever. But
exactly.
that's crazy.
It's a crazy thing. Um, so talk about okay, June 5th, 2020. June 5th, 2020. Now, you tweeted a couple comments, just your truth, whatever you felt. And now I'm sure that you tweeted it, you didn't think that it would go viral or end up doing what it did, but 50 plus guys, black athletes, former athletes at our alma mater came out giving individual stories. As of late, your running back who you blocked for, Krim Wadley, has coming out with like details. I think this week of
Right.
him basically his whole career basically being a living nightmare and things like that. So I remember tweeting that, I was always super reluctant to ever talk about some of the bad experiences I had just because, ultimately I never wanted to be looked at as like a problem guy. It was like, or I didn't make it to NFL, so I'm mad at the program. Or at the end, also, once I start a family and things like that, I want to be able to bring my kids, my wife back to Kinnick and say, hey, daddy played here and I contributed on these teams and this and that. And sometimes when you tell your truth, there's some backlash that comes with it, or they'll try to like not allow you to be with the team, or just things like that. So I was always kind of afraid of that. That's why I never really spoke on it, and a lot of guys never spoke on it. So you were kind of like that first guy to say what you said, and then all these other guys felt like okay, it was okay. So just give me like a short depiction of like how that's been like for this month of June, the last 25 days.
Yeah, I mean, first the race relations. ever since like the rioting started in Minneapolis because of George Floyd. Like it's just been, I mean, it's been crazy. Actually, it's actually been kind of nice to see how many people are supporting like the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure if people are just or they're just tweeting out saying they support it, or if they're actually about the action. But either or, it is nice to see people are actually recognizing it. So I remember 2 years ago, because there's a police unarmed. I always see something on Twitter. So I follow Sean King on Twitter. So once a month, I always see something Sean King tweets out: unarmed Black person shot and killed, or unarmed Black person shot. Like I see that every no kidding. I see that once a month, at least once a month. And so it's just nice that I've been following him for like 2 or 3 years. It's been nice to see that finally people are starting to realize that this has been like we've had like there's been racial issues in the United States for a long time. I mean, talking about Iowa football, I mean, I don't know. I just felt like it was something that needed to be addressed because the numbers and statistics are there. Like the graduation rate, Iowa should not have the 60th out of 65th for graduation for Black male graduation athletes in the Power Five. Right. It's just not
guys always end up losing.
Because it's just not University of Iowa. Because Iowa State, I believe Iowa State's like 56 out of 65, or Iowa State's right there next to Iowa. So it's just not something. There's something about the culture of Iowa that is causing the Black athletes not to graduate. But talking about football, I mean, I felt like it was something that needed to be said. Like you said, you've had issues, but that you were scared to talk about. Not scared to talk about, but you had your reasons for not wanting to talk about. Right. And I just felt like personally, like for me, like as a person, like I love Iowa. I mean, I really want, all I want to do is see Iowa win. But I feel like for Iowa to win, for Iowa to be the best Iowa needs to be, the Black players there need to be 100% comfortable.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, the Black players, I mean, even though they make up a less percentage of the roster compared to like Ohio State or somewhere. Right. Actually, I don't know. I'm pretty sure, but I mean, you'd have to check the stats on that. But anyway, like the Black players at Iowa, they're critical in the success of Iowa football. In anything I can do to help the Black players feel comfortable. I mean, that's the reason why I did it, because I know the time while I was there, I know there were some Black players that should have made it to the NFL. Definitely not just made to the NFL, legit draft pick that did not make it because I mean they didn't click with the Iowa culture, and I just don't. It's just so sad that like my boys, like the life I'm living, they should have that life, but because they click with the Iowa culture, they didn't get the chance. They don't get the chance to do it.
And that's why I think so many guys came out after you said what you said, because no matter how you try to explain it, like this is our livelihood. Football is our livelihood. We coming from wherever we're coming, whether it's Warren, whether it's Cleveland, whether it's Detroit, whether it's Florida, whether it's St. Louis, but this is our livelihood. We're playing because we love to play. And if we have an opportunity or chance to change our families' lives, that's what we want to do. So when you go to a place like Iowa and you see that the Iowa way is like something different than what you're used to, usually you have to conform. You have to act a certain way. You have to act differently than I think his name, Amani Hooker said, you have to act like someone that you aren't. Like you can't be yourself. You have to act like this to even have a chance to maybe get some playing time.
Exactly.
To even just have a chance. You still may not get playing time, even if you conform, but to just give yourself an opportunity, you have to act this way.
So you have to worry about, first, college classes are hard. Second, okay, if you're from Florida, I'm not sure how many miles, but you're from Florida in Iowa. I mean, it's winter, you're cold, you're in an environment you've never
been in, right?
Been around. And then you have class, you have football, which is tough, but then you have stuff on top of football where you have to conform to being someone you're not. And it just puts like a lot of pressure on you. I remember when I got to the Bears, there's this big painting like right when you walk in the facility, and it was like BU. And like Coach Nagy, he just wants every player, of course, like there's a culture. Every team has to have a culture. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong about that. But like the culture that like we have is just like be you, like let your personality show.
So, but like be respectful. Don't be an asshole.
Of course, yeah.
Be you, who you are.
Yeah, like let your personality show. And that's the thing. At like Iowa, I just felt like we just weren't like black players just weren't in the position to be able to let their personality show. But hopefully, I know I've been talking to people inside the program.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to players inside the program. And
How have the players inside the program? How have they said things have shifted or changed from the coaching staff, from all the strength and the conditioning staff since over the last 25 days?
They feel like they have a voice now. It's like like the players feel like they're actually being like when the coach like when they told their problems to the coaches, they feel like they're actually being heard.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful.
And that's big. And like that's like that. I mean, like hearing that, like that kind of put like tears in my eyes because it's like
that validates why you said what you said.
Exactly. It's like I know I made an impact. I think Matt Hankins said something about. I mean, ever since like Coach Doyle's left, he's felt. I think he said like himself and a lot of players feel like a weight's been lifted over their shoulders. He posts on Twitter. I don't know the exact quote, but Matt Hankins, he's a cornerback, but he's a cornerback out right now. But it's like these players actually feel good and they feel like they can be themselves now. Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully that will help them. Hopefully that helps them win some more games this fall.
Exactly. That's and ultimately that's what we all hoping as alumni. We're alumni. We want to see our alma mater do well.
That's all we care about.
Players, we know we have the talent, but a lot of times if you're in an uncomfortable environment, like you can't perform how you maybe could perform if you were more comfortable. And so that's why it's vital for guys to be comfortable, especially in a predominantly white state. I think the state of Iowa is like 3% black, right? So so comfortability is like a major thing. And I'm big on just giving flowers to guys, while you're here. So I just want to salute you, bro. Like you like I'm proud, like especially you coming from Warren, being an Ohio guy, just going there, doing your thing, 3 and out, second rounder, like doing your thing in the league, but also paying attention to the disparities that's happening at our alma mater and being unapologetic about, telling your opinion, but also at the same time being respectful. And like going at it in the right ways. Because what I noticed is, like some of like the white fans and stuff like that at our alma mater, they kept asking like, oh, if you felt like that, why didn't you just go to Kirk Ferentz and say something? But you had the perfect answer. Like, well, yeah, I did go to him when I was there. I think it's like back in 2017.
Yeah.
You met with Gary Barta. You told him about these different issues and things that you saw, and nothing was ever done.
Right. So, I can't say nothing was done, but not enough was done. So at the end of the day, I mean, yes, like everyone has recognized these problems. I mean, media, coaches, athletic department, everyone's recognized these problems, but nothing has really been done.
It's like they hear you, then they kind of just throw it under the rug. Like they may do something like, okay, we'll change this, we'll change that, but then you never hear about it again, basically.
Exactly.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, I'm just hearing from the players now and how they feel.
That's super
clearly how differently. I mean, of course, COVID they couldn't work out and stuff, but before COVID, like hearing like the differences they have now than compared to like before COVID, like it's crazy. And also, I can't say I have a part of it, but I've been seeing something probably like a couple times a week about Black athletes at other universities speaking out.
Right,
so it's just nice that seeing like, I think it was Oklahoma State, Clemson.
Yeah, I know Oklahoma State had a few guys speak out. Yeah,
it's like, so it's nice seeing that like players are starting to realize that.
Yeah, and you were like a pillar. You were a pillar in that when guys saw that you were unapologetically willing to step up and tell your truth. It made them, I'm sure, feel like they could tear theirs without expecting any kind of backlash. Or it's backlash and everything, but just willing to tell their truth instead of being quiet and not saying anything.
Yeah, because like in NFL, like there's the NFL and college. Like in NFL, like the players, yes, the coaches run it, but the players pretty much running. Like if you have a guy making 35 million, he can go to the coach and literally tell the coach like, "Nah, we're not doing this. We're not doing that."
Yeah, of course.
But in college, the only person
You
you
don't really
have
have a
who has
voice.
the I mean, of course, you have the All Big Ten, the All American player, but
Right.
that's nothing compared. That's nothing compared to compared to the coaches. So hopefully, I just realize that like players know that players have a voice,
Right.
and players have always had a voice. Like if players come together, like individually, it's tough, but when players come
Come
collectively as
together, yeah. You
they
have a
have
stronger
more
voice
power.
when you do it together. Definitely, man. So my last question, I call this podcast the After Effect podcast. You know, as athletes, we've been athletes our whole life. We have ups and downs, ebbs and flows. We experience pain, joy, happiness. So what would you say, and I know you're still young in your professional career, but thus far, coming from Pop Warner to middle school to high school to college, then the 2 years you've been in the league, what would you say the after effect of your athletic career journey has been thus far? Like what's some things that you have learned, you know, during your athletic journey that you would like carry with you for the rest of your career, and then obviously when you retire as well.
I mean, hard work. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, I mean, of course, like a lot of my ability is God given. Like my dad and mom were both great athletes. Like,
Yeah.
and I get my size from them. Like I'm not like my mom's like 5'9", 5'10". Like she's
All genetics.
yeah, like but and I mean that's in life. Like some people are gonna be put in better positions than you are, but it's the hard work part about it. I realize in like the NFL is like there are people who do not work out, who do not lift at all. But I mean they just so nice that they just good football players.
Yeah, they just got
realize,
it.
I gotta like I have it hard, and I know that like when I'm doing football, like if I'm going to open a business, like I'm gonna have to do the extra things to make my business successful.
All right.
Like you
So
read
for
like
that extra mile.
like you read like stuff on like Jeff Bezos or like what's the guy's name that opened Apple? Steve Jobs. Like you read like articles on them and like listen to like how they're wired and like how they approach things like in the business world. Crazy. So it's just I mean every athlete knows like at the end of the day like you have to work hard, and the only person I sound like like a coach, like the only person who knows the only person who knows if you working your hardest is yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the truth, but
right. It's cliche, but it's so true because a lot of people lie to themselves and like try to make it seem like in their head, like, oh no, I did work hard, I did do that. But you know if you've been bullshitting, you know if you're not giving 1,000% effort.
Yeah, and you just need to get comfortable. Like I like the saying, like you need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I think that's I don't like that statement because if you comfortable being uncomfortable, you're not uncomfortable enough. So like to really get if you really push it, because no one likes pushing themselves. Yeah, you might like pushing yourself 90%, 95%, but pushing yourself 100% where you actually empty in the tank, that's not fun. I mean, the aftermath, like winning the game, like that's fun. But while you're doing it, you're like, nah, this is not like this isn't.
And I kind of see what you're saying because obviously you're 22 right now, but once you get to like 29, 30, you got to try to manage how you exhaust your body. You can't exhaust your body 7 days a week.
Right.
You got to be able to manage and still give full effort, but be able to keep some in the tank to be able to continue to stay healthy and get the right amount of sleep and just be able to perform.
Right. One thing too for athletes and anybody, I would just say enjoy your time, like because you never know, like as an athlete, you never know when it's gonna be over, or like a loved one, you never know like when a loved one's gonna pass away. So it's just
that really hit home for me because I remember my senior year we played Oklahoma in the Insight Bowl, and when I strapped it up, I started that game. When I strapped it up, the last thing I was thinking in my head was this is going to be the last time I play football outside. Because I played 2 years of arena football professionally, but that's inside.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
literally December 30th, 2011 was the last time I actually strapped it up. But in that moment, I'm just thinking about balling out so I can try to get to the league in a couple months.
Right.
I'm thinking that like, oh wow, like this might be my last time playing. Like, so that's powerful. Would you say like really enjoy all the moments because like you say, you never know when it's gonna be your last.
Every time like we play like an NFL game, like because the offense line we stay out in the field like during like timeouts and stuff, and they bring water out to it. But I
Yeah,
always think to myself, like I look around the stadium, I'm like,
just take
every
it
day,
all in. Just take it
I'm
all in.
like, dude, like this is like,
Dope.
like 30 years from now, like like when I have kids, like I'm gonna be telling like crazy stories about like
Yeah,
the combos we had, like when we were out on the field, or just
yeah. Right.
like just
That's
enjoy
that's
it.
dope. That's dope, bro. That you can be present like that. Like in those moments, you can be present.
Yeah, and the best part now is that like every game, every football game, college and NFL, is on YouTube. So like I could literally go back. Hopefully YouTube's a thing 30 years from now. Hopefully I could go back and like just like look at
And
like
watch
tell my
it. Yeah.
kid like this, like that's me out there.
You would be doing that because I do that now. I go back and watch some of my old games from 2008, 2009, 2010. Yeah, you would do it. Just give yourself a couple years. You would want to see him again.
Yeah, so I mean but yeah, just those two things. I mean, those two things, just enjoy it and work hard. I mean, that's all I have.
Enjoy it and work hard, man. Those are great answers, bro. But that's all I had, man. I really, really appreciate you taking out the time. I know you got a lot of Zoom meetings for OTAs, and you guys trying to figure out how you're gonna get back in the building for training camp. So I just appreciate you taking out the time to jump on the pod for me, man.
No, I appreciate you too, because you was one of the people, one of the original people in that original Zoom call. So
Yeah,
I mean you can cut this out, of course, but you know they don't know, because I made sure, like when I talked, because I did another podcast, I made sure like when I told people,
uh-huh.
like I didn't tell anybody who was in that Zoom call. Actually, I
Right.
didn't even tell Coach Ferentz about anybody who was in that original Zoom call.
Original Zoom call, right?
So, but nah, you was one of the people. You was one of the people who like, cause I was hearing like y'all stories. I'm like, bruh, y'all stories is exactly the same stories that the people I know. So like,
Yeah,
bruh, something had to be said.
yeah, man. And like I told you, bro, I just appreciate it because you definitely put a battery in my back and tell my truth. And to be honest, I like me and Mike Daniels, we were really good friends in college. And to be honest, we didn't really have any crazy problems with Coach W. He never came at us crazy. He never said anything out of line to us. But
That's the thing. Yeah,
our individual experience. But I have seen him disrespect other players. I have seen him say racial things to other players. I have seen him ruin guys' experiences there. So when all these people were coming out with these stories, it's like a lot of guys they don't look at it twofold because they only look at it from their experience. Like, oh well, I had a good relationship with Doyle. Yeah, but you didn't see him disrespect this dude all these times. You saw it. You let your experience take over when you really know what you saw.
that's the problem. Like that's why I mean everything. I mean any in life, like any disparity happens when the people who aren't being oppressed do not see the oppressing, because
Exactly.
it's like they can't see anything about, like it's like if they don't see what's happening, what can they do about it?
Right. Right. And it's funny, man, because I was talking to Mike about this last week, but like we just know that some of the more All-American players, like your Adrian Claiborne's, your Carl Kluges, people that ended up being really good players out of Iowa, we know that they're never going to speak out about some of their experiences because they ended up having like A1 careers. And to me, it's unfortunate because I literally saw these guys. Saw these guys get like ultimately disrespected. I mean, I mean to the point where you wouldn't even believe like these certain instances. But a lot of times, guys reach success or they reach, they touch a certain amount of money, and they don't got nothing to say.
It's not their problem. Like,
Exactly. And I can respect that, but I just think it's unfortunate. It would be cool for guys to still tell the truth, even though they, touch or 10-year pro, whatever, or touch this amount of money and got all these different accomplishments. But I still think, like I said, you were the pillar in it, and a lot of guys, I'm sure, were able to heal from at least telling their stories, whether anything happened or not. But
right.
healing from it and getting past it, like, you know what I'm saying? You were someone that started that. So that's just, again, I salute you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, bro. I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, man, and hopefully we can try to stay in touch. And it'll be interesting to see how like the advisory group goes, and what they'll try to implement to
You know
like.
who got asked to be on it?
I know Mike Daniels is leading it, but he called me last week and told me that he's kind of reconsidering it. Like he don't really know if he wanted to be in that kind of position because he said he would rather all of us try to form something like on our own, because he said that he feels like
Yeah,
he feels like
campaign asked
they may be
me.
trying to make him kind of like the scapegoat, like so if something else happens again, they can be like, well, we got Mike Daniels on the head of the advisory group, so we put these things in place, but so this shouldn't be happening. So he was kind of talking about maybe trying to form something like us forming something like on our own, like out from the outside, and like bringing it to them.
Okay.
So he's still kind of up in the air, but that's all I know. And I know the independent investigation is going on right now, but I think those people are. I don't know who chose those people, who gave the emails and the numbers, because
Yeah,
I
actually,
know.
so they called me.
Okay.
They called me. Actually, they called me like one of the first days. It
Okay.
seemed like they had like a decent amount of information. But then they asked me like who should we reach out to? So
Oh.
every person they interview, they asked who should they reach out to?
Right. Okay.
I mean, the lawyers getting paid like $600 an hour, so they making sure this investigation take as long as possible.
You know that.
So they gonna try to talk to
You know
every
how that
person
goes.
they can.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, we'll definitely stay in touch and just kind of see what happens. I'm interviewing Mike tomorrow, so I know I'll get a lot more information from him about just how he's feeling about it. I know he's still up in the air as far as the advisory group, but yeah, we'll definitely stay in touch, man. I just want to wish you great luck on this season. Keep getting to it, man. Keep blocking the best D tackles in the league. keep putting on for Ohio and your family and everything, and I know we never like met in live in person, but I've been watching you for years. Super proud, super blessed that we share the same alma mater, man. And again, I just appreciate you jumping on the podcast with me.
But no problem. Just appreciate you for having me on. And when you release this, tweet this out at me or like at me or like whatever, so I can like retweet you, post, blah, all that.
Of course, yeah. I got an editor in Japan who will be doing a visual edit, so I can have the audio on all the podcast platforms, and then I'll have the visual on YouTube, just so people, because some people like audio, some people like visual. I like visual podcasts, so I like watching, seeing the interactions, seeing the smiles, the laughs, all that stuff. So yeah, man, I'll definitely at you. I appreciate you, and I'll be watching. If y'all playing wherever I'm at, I'll be hitting you up, seeing if I can grab a ticket.
All right, I got you, bro.
All right, man. Y'all stay safe.
All right, bro, take it easy.
All right.